What's going on, everyone? This is Alex KGB. Yesterday we got an update on Diablo 4, and it's a really great update. So developers are actually listening to players' feedback and they improving the game based on the feedback. There are going to be a lot more news on April 20 at 11 a.m. Game director Joe Shelley, associate game director Joseph Papiora, and associate director of community Adam Fletcher, accompanied by special guest Riker, will return for the next Diablo 4 developer update live stream. So the links are here on newsblizzard.com. You can find them and watch their update. I suggest if you're interested in Diablo 4 to tune in. But the highlights that they gave us early on, what updates are coming, the dungeons are getting updates, so the dungeon layouts are going to get updated. They're not going to be as repetitive. The events in dungeons going to happen more often, so from 10% to 60% for a chance for an event to spawn. Now, dungeon gameplay. To reduce the need to backtrack, small numbers of straggling monsters will seek out the player to help complete the kill all monster objective, which is pretty good. Less wasting time. When an Animus is gathered, the player and nearby allies will gain 10 resources, reduce all active cooldowns by 1 second. The opposing Animus channel time was reduced from 3 to 0. The time to rescue was reduced from 3 to 1.5 seconds. All rescue objectives now drop a health potion upon completion. While carrying the ancient statue, bloodstone, mechanical box, or stone caravan, you will receive a momentum bonus gathering a 25% move speed increase to your nearby allies. Pedestal have had their channel time reduced from 2 to 0 seconds. Returning a portable object to its pedestal now fully restore health, resource potions, and resets cooldowns for all nearby players. All doors will now generate a minimap ping when they're open, so you don't get lost on the map. All structure objectives in dungeons now have additional combat mechanics players must overcome. Um, from a developer's notes, while our dungeons offer a variety of objectives to complete, player feedback stated that the action of completing each objective felt tedious. So now it's going to be a lot more fun to go through the dungeons. We hope that providing bonuses such as increased mobility while carrying certain objective items will streamline and vary the experience of completing objective. This adjustment is merely a starting point, and we intend to extend this philosophy to keys in the future update. All right, that's great. Classes. Some general updates on classes. So effects like stun and freeze can be applied to elite monsters twice as long before they become unstoppable. Um, Reviewed class skills to confirm that all classes have access to sufficient skills that remove control impairing effects. Many legendary powers have now had updates to their effectiveness. All right. So Barbarian, a flat 10% passive damage reduction has been added to for the Barbarian class. So Barbarian now is not as squishy. Some skill tree passives had their damage reduction effects reduced to compensate. The Whirlwind skill now deals more damage and consumes more fury. The Double Swing skill enhancement refunds its full fury cost when used on stunned or knocked down enemies. Druid. So companion skills will now deal heavily increased damage. All ultimate skills have had their cooldowns reduced. Usability improvements have been made to maul and pulverize. Using a non-shapeshifting skill will transform a druid back into their human form. So with druid, there was a lot of complaint that it's a really weak class comparing to other classes. So I'm really happy that they're actually buffing druid a little bit. Necromancer. So Necromancer is the class I'm going to play. It's my favorite class. I've been always played it in Diablo. They're doing some changes to Necromancer. So summoned minions will die more often, requiring players to utilize corpses more often. So through the beta, I don't think I ever, maybe a couple times actually, raid skeletons. They were pretty much very good on their own. And now adding this, I think it's a great plus. So you have to manage skeletons more actively. Uh, because otherwise it felt like an arcade playing Necromancer. Many bonuses in the Book of the Dead have had their stats increased. Okay, so the buffs that will be coming to the minions are increased. That's great. The damage dealt by the corpse explosion skill has been reduced. Yeah, so one of the build that people just recorded and said, hey, it's broken when you do corpse explosion and just blow up all the minions and bosses instantaneously. So this is gonna probably get reduced. That's not gonna be a main build anymore because it was too OP. The brightness of the skeletal warriors and mages has been reduced. I really like that because skeletons felt out of place. They were glowing, and it just felt like out of the picture. The Diablo in general, the settings are really dark, and again, skeletons were more like an arcade skeletons. I like that they bring down the brightness of Rogue. So upgrades for subterfuge skills have had their bonuses increased. Multiple passive skills have had their bonuses increased. All imbuement skills have had their cooldowns increased. So seems that mostly above to Rogue. I can't say that Rogue was a weak class. I played with Rogue. I think it's fairly balanced class. A lot of different builds you can create, and you are clearing waves of mobs pretty easily with crits. So, but still happy that they're actually tweaking to make it more balanced. Sorcerer, also a very popular class. A lot of people enjoyed playing Sorcerer. I enjoyed playing Sorcerer as well. Very mobile. You can move around the map quickly, clear out waves of minions. So charge bolts damage was increased and mana cost to cast has decreased. So a buff. Decrease the damage of chain lightning and reduce its effectiveness against bosses. So a little bit getting, not too OP. Just wanted to be felt powerful, but not too powerful, right? Decrease the cooldown for the incinerate skills enhancement bonus. Firewalls will now spawn underneath enemies more frequently when using its enhancements bonus. Increased the lucky hit chance for the meteor skills enhancement bonus. Okay, so from the developer's note, whenever we introduce changes to our classes, it is with the goal of making both them and their skills feel impactful and powerful. Your feedback has helped us uphold the ideal, right? You want to play Diablo, you want to feel powerful, so that's understandable. So classes that lack that are getting buffed. And I think some builds that were lacking that are getting buffed. So there's a balance. No matter what you build, you can still be powerful, but not too OP. Some players have adaptively noticed that certain skills were too powerful. So that's what I'm saying, right? One of our goals for skills is to have them to be interesting to wield and interactive in terms of itemization and combat feel. We've made some changes to help in the regard, with one example being the Necromancer minions. We've made a change that makes them more vulnerable in combat, which will make raising the dead a more active component of the Necromancer's gameplay. Launch is just the first step of our class balance journey, and you can expect further updates that iterate on this pillar of Diablo 4. So Diablo 4 gonna become a staple of gaming experience that's gonna last, right? Developers gonna invest into the game, gonna update it based on the feedback. So we're gonna see a lot of community growth, a lot of improvements to the game. I think it's gonna be a really, really lasting game. UI fixed an issue where the built-in screen reader was not reading key prompts, option details, and other UI tags. So those like just the bugs that are going to be found over time and will be fixed. Fixed an issue where action could not be bound to the mouse wheel. Fixed an issue where evade couldn't be bound to the right analog stick on controller. Chat will now display on the left side of the screen when uses the center action bar configuration. Character stats will be displayed by default when players click on the materials and stats button within their inventory. Um, the move and interact inputs can now be mapped to one button, while the primary attack input is mapped to a secondary button. The sans serif font used in game has been replaced with a new serif font. Okay, so just some visual and bugs fixing. Encounters. Fix multiple issues that allowed bosses like the Butcher to become unresponsive. So I've seen that it does initial hit, doesn't kill the player, and then it just stands there. So that's been fixed. The Butcher has been re-evaluated for difficulty and will present a greater challenge in World Tier 3 and 4. All right. Bosses such as Tort, Malnek, Venard, and others were re-evaluated for melee characters' difficulty, resulting in changes to attacks and fight mechanics. Okay, so boss is going to be balanced for all the characters to fight. Fix an issue where vampire brutes using the shadow and enchant effects would chain cast impale. Okay. Sellers increase the chance for a dungeon event to occur in cellars. Sellers will now consistently reward a chest upon completion. That's great because some of the sellers you just clear them out and nothing happened. It just felt like a waste of time going there. Fixed an issue where sellers would permanently be marked as complete. Fixed an issue where guaranteed elite monster would be absent from a seller. Good. General quality of life. Fixed an issue where players could increase attack speed by moving, cancel an attack early. Oh, I've seen that. So, was animation, if you cancel an attack, I think was Rogue, it was very visible. It starts actually spamming a lot faster the skills and attack, right? Fix an issue where characters weren't immune and untargetable after loading into an area. The reset dungeon button has been disabled. All right, great. Developers note: while Diablo 4 Sanctuary is home to over 100 dungeons, the open beta only had the subset offered in Act 1, fractured peaks for players to explore, and a level cap that isn't a full representation of the experience at launch. There are many reasons to complete a variety of dungeons, including collective powerful affixes in the Codex of Power, and players will still be able to repeat dungeons by partying up with others and having them start the dungeon. We also wanted to make sure that resetting the dungeon wasn't a way for hardcore players to avoid deaths when experiencing a challenge in a dungeon. Still, that's interesting. That's interesting. That I played hardcore a couple times, but if you invest in the hardcore character, just prepare. At some point, you're gonna lose it, and days and maybe even weeks of your time just gonna disappear. So yeah, that's good. Still, we know it can be just fun to repeat a specific dungeon, and the team is looking at a more permanent solution to this, like having some reasonable cap on how many times the same dungeon can be completed in a row to better support that style of play. In fact, in the full game, players will acquire sigils that will unlock nightmare dungeons, which are specifically designed to be completed repeatedly and are optimized to be highly rewarding and replayable. We'll have more to share on this in the future. That's great news. So I think you don't want to abuse dungeons, just kind of rerun through them all the time uh, to look for the items on or level up your character. So having like a unique experience with dungeon, I think it's a really good update. Fixed an issue that caused Gale Valley and Serac Rapture to have less monsters than intended until the campaign quests in those territories were completed. All right. And uh, that's the update that's coming out. So on April 20th, there will be a lot more information. Suggest you tune in. Um, but I really enjoyed playing Diablo 4 beta, and I'm looking forward to an actual game to start. I'll be recording a lot more, trying to do small guides. I'm in no way or place like a professional player or professional streamer, but I do enjoy playing the games, and I try to dedicate time to share my experience and things that I find, maybe small guides or small builds for the characters that I'm going to play. Can't wait. Very excited to try the new updated Necromancer. So this was Alex KGB. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.